As the 113th Congress comes to an end, I want to take a moment now to recap some of the legislative initiatives that I pursued in 2014. Throughout 2014, I continue to meet with people like you, the residents of northern New Jersey, to make sure that your voices are being heard in our nation's capital. Again and again, the same concern was echoed in our discussions. We need to get our economy back on track. Accordingly, my top priorities continue to be economic growth, helping New Jerseyans get back to work, and ensuring that the federal government remembers its proper role as a servant of the American people. With each of our children and grandchildren on the hook now for nearly $56,000 of our national debt, this year was a busy one in the House Budget Committee and the Financial Services Committee, the two committees on which I serve. In addition to passing a budget that focused on economic growth, the House Budget Committee also took up very important work on poverty reduction, expanding opportunity, and restoring fairness in the American budget process and beyond. The House Financial Services Committee, including the subcommittee that I chair, also spent a great deal of time working to advance economic growth, from scaling back excessively burdensome requirements to cutting job-killing red tape, and from holding oversight hearings to advancing crucial job creation legislation. My colleagues and I worked together and across the party lines to get things done. Whether it was the Department of Veteran Affairs, the IRS, or the Fed, 2014 was undoubtedly a terrible year for transparency and accountability in the federal government. After news broke of the heinous mistreatment of our nation's heroes at the Veterans Hospital across the country, I called on the directors of the local VA healthcare systems to ensure that our New Jersey vets were receiving the best possible care. Our work, though, is not done, and I will continue to be vigilant in my oversight of the VA in the new year. So from protecting our veterans to protecting your tax dollars, this year I also took the shrouded Financial Stability Oversight Council to task about the designation of non-banks as significantly important or too big to fail. And speaking of secretive government entities, I also introduced the Federal Reserve Accountability and Transparency Act to give Congress the power to more closely monitor and regulate the Federal Reserve. You see, as the chairman of the Congressional Constitution Caucus, I also continue to work to preserve the founders' vision for our country. One bill that you might be interested in learning more about is the Fifth Amendment Integrity Restoration, or FAIR Act. I introduced this legislation to rein in the government's ability to seize a citizen's personal property without due process. According to reports from the Washington Post, hundreds of millions of dollars in cash have been seized from motorists and others not charged with crimes, forcing thousands of people to fight year-long legal battles to get their own money back. When passed, my bill would bring the burden of proof to a higher level to ensure that Americans are truly innocent until proven guilty. Finally, despite repeated admissions that the Constitution precludes him from granting amnesty, this administration has turned its back on American workers and law-abiding immigrants by granting amnesty to illegal immigrants. At a time when American workers are desperate for jobs, I believe that the President has decided to unfairly reward those who have blatantly broken the law. Please know that I'm committed to undoing the damage of what I believe is an unconstitutional action we'll have on our republic. Now, for details on all the legislation I worked on this year, please go to my website. It's garrett.house.gov. And to stay on top of my latest work in Congress, be sure to follow me over at Facebook, which would be facebook.com/Rep. Scott Garrett, and at Reps Garrett on Twitter as well. As 2014 comes to a close, it's my prayer that God bless you and your loved ones this holiday season, and that God continue to bless the United States of America. I do look forward to serving you again in 2015.